Hello everyone, I'm Leslie Maltman and welcome to Reimagining Events. This series of webinars has been developed by Tourism NI to support the events industry as we look forward to a time in the not too distant future where we can once again get together to share the live experiences we all miss so much. We know we need to look at things in a different way and from a new perspective, and these sessions are designed to help us navigate the way ahead in this post-pandemic world. Today's webinar is about commercial strategies and is being delivered by Julie O'Brien. Julie has worked in tourism and hospitality for over 25 years. Originally working in event management, she spent many years selling Ireland as a must-visit destination to potential visitors worldwide. A commercial strategy, revenue generation, and product development expert, Julie believes in the value of partnerships to grow businesses. She knows that what makes part of our industry unique is the people who shape our events community. And Julie is fascinated by the unique visions, interests, and stories they bring to the wider tourism scene. Julie's going to take us through her presentation and then there'll be a Q&A session. Thank you to those who have submitted questions already, and please do feel free to ask anything further in the chat as we go along. Without further ado, over to you, Julie.
Oh, thank you so much, Leslie. I've been really looking forward to speaking with you this afternoon. I've been literally waiting at my desk to have this opportunity. As Leslie explained there, I'm going to be looking after this subject with you today, reimagining. Isn't that a fabulous word? Commercial strategies. And I'm going to be with you now for the next hour, and we'll have a Q&A session to follow on after that. So as Leslie said, I've worked in hospitality and tourism for more than 25 years, and for a large chunk of that career I worked in event management myself, so I have huge admiration for people who work in that field, and I know the passion and the dedication that goes into event creation, and hence why I've been dying to get going this morning. So over the next hour, we've got a lot to cover. I'm going to ask you maybe if you've got a pen and paper beside you that you might be able to take some notes, or maybe a couple of notes on your desktop beside you, because I would like this session to really be task oriented, so that you come out with a list of to-dos that will actually create real opportunities for your event, festival and your destination. So to do that, we're going to look at these topics, beginning with the importance of you in commercial strategies, each individual listening in today. We're going to take a look at where all commercial strategies begin. We're looking at the key role of collaboration, moving on to prioritizing low and no cost solutions. And I know that will come as music to many of your ears, especially in the climate we're living in at the moment. So we're going to prioritize low and no cost solutions. Then moving on to the importance of measurement. And finally, wrapping up before that Q&A regarding building commercial opportunities so that your event can continue to evolve and grow for the future for, many, many decades to come. So let's begin now with the first topic, something that I'm immensely passionate about, and how all commercial strategies begin with you. At the end of a lot of these topics, I'm going to be asking you to think about tasks. So bear in mind that I want you to end up with a series of to-dos at the end of today's session. So let's think about you then. So I adore working, everyone who knows me knows this, I adore working in the tourism and hospitality industry. I couldn't imagine working anywhere else. And I feel it's a real privilege to work with, the people, all the different colorful people who work in our industry. And these people, whether they're, visitor attractions or activity providers, or in your case, event and festivals, tend to have a blend of magic ingredients. And for me, I feel that these ingredients are highly evident, particularly in the people who work in events and festivals. So hopefully as you're sitting wherever you are now, in your home or in your office, really nice positive words are popping in about what you do and what you bring to your communities and destinations. So for me, people who work in the events and festival industries, they have a real drive to achieve something, a real energy, which is really compelling. There's a passion, an interest maybe in a particular topic, or a desire to do something for the community that is, that you cannot ignore, that really arrests the attention of people in communities and visitors. There's a real soul, something that's really inside the event organizer, the festival organizer, inside them, really something that's gripping, that attracts you to stand up and watch what they're doing. And finally, for me, this is a huge word in the tourism industry, and I would really relate it to people who work in the events and festival industry, this idea of integrity. So people who are often very grounded, who know how to get a job done, there's a real focus about it, an honesty about this work, a desire to do something really good, to achieve something great. Now look at those 4 words: drive, passion, soul, integrity, and I dare you to walk past them. So when you see these ingredients in someone who's an event or festival organizer, think about it for the consumer's perspective and how they're drawn to these kind of people. So the topic is how it all begins with you. So I would like you to think now in that regard, because there is nothing more compelling than an event or festival that is built on a desire to share a passion, to create special memories for local people in the community and visitors to the community, to enlighten, engage and delight people through events and festivals, connecting people within communities and across diverse communities. And this is really compelling. So I want you to bear in mind, and you will know this better than me, people listening in today who are event and festival organizers, that the motivation for creating events and festivals comes from a really good place. And that is something that people, customers, visitors really want to be part of. So I worked in commercial strategies for all my career. I've always had big targets over my head, and I've been told to go and achieve those. And anyone who's been involved in commercial strategies, and a lot of you listening in today, this will not be news to you, you'll be involved in commercial roles too, will know that a lot of commercial strategies is all about matching. So it's about bringing the right offer, and in this case, the offer is the event or festival, to market. And when we go to market, we look for customers who have interests, needs and budgets that are a match for this offer. And this is like a standard thing that happens in all commercial strategies, no matter what tourism business we are talking about. However, I find, and while this matching plays an immense role in events and festivals, there's another layer when it comes to events and festivals. Because of those magic ingredients: passion, soul, drive, integrity, the event and festival organizer can actually compel someone who doesn't have a particular interest in the topic to come and explore and book that festival or event too. There is something immensely compelling about the event and festival organizer who knows how to bring individuals together in a connected environment, creating connections within communities and across communities that can compel a wider audience to book. And on that note, I'd like to draw your attention to David Terrance. So David, of course, has a bookstore that's really well known in Belfast, No Alibis. And some of you will know David, and for those who don't, if you even explore his content offline and online, you will see, to my mind, he has all those magic ingredients that we just discussed. Because where did the idea for David's festival come from? Well, the seed was sown in his childhood, and I came across a lovely story where his dad used to come home with bags of books, and this ignited a love of books in David when he was younger. And now he is the owner of this really interesting bookstore. And from that seed that was planted in his childhood, that evolved into Noir Ireland. So a festival that celebrates crime fiction. And of course, this festival is based in David's home place of Belfast. So what does this festival do? It celebrates crime fiction. It showcases Ireland's talent in this genre. It showcases Ireland's impact on this genre. It also showcases global leaders, global talent in this genre. So really mixing it up between writers from Ireland and around the world. So now we can see a layer of communities all emanating from Belfast. So what has David done here? Well, he creates a festival that creates, a really lovely social and community community feeling, something that we can be proud of in Belfast and a destination, Northern Ireland, a sense of pride and identity that makes us all walk taller. He also has created something that generates an economic benefit, not just for the festival itself, but spilling out into the local shopkeeper and other businesses in Belfast and the wider Northern Ireland community. So there, from David's passion, a childhood passion, he's actually evolved into this event that has really can have an incredible impact on destination Belfast and Northern Ireland. What I find really interesting about this is I'm not particularly interested in crime fiction, but having read about what David's story is and what this festival is about, and just the tone and the magic blend of, drive and passion, I would feel compelled certainly to book this festival and to come and visit Belfast accordingly. So just to be aware of that power that you have as an event and festival organizer, the way you can really have an impact on the listener, the visitor and the customer, compelling them to engage because they have an interest, or maybe just because they're interested in the spirit that you have. And I want you to keep that in mind as we move through the topics of today, because the reality is that the spirit of the event or festival organizer filters down through teams, through volunteers, through communities, and onwards into commercial strategies. This spirit in its own right becomes a brand that compels us as customers to engage and book. So actually, it all starts with you. And isn't it good to know that you have immense responsibility? It's all in your arms. Your passion stimulates desire. You reflect everything. Your festival or event, your destination Northern Ireland as a whole, your community. And knowing this is key for creating commercial and communication strategies. So bearing in mind the power of you, let's take a look now at where all commercial strategies begin. And this topic is of great interest to me because I write commercial plans for lots of different kinds of businesses and destinations. And when I arrive into these businesses and destinations to create these plans, very often the people involved are thinking about the most convoluted solutions, often the most expensive. So there can be a notion, that we have to really, go to the high, the most expensive, the most tricky to achieve an outcome. But actually in those scenarios, I encourage people to rein it right back and go back to step one. Because commercial strategies, when they're done right, are based on the following: a knowledge that all selling starts on your very own doorstep. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. Collaboration is key. I want you to put that word in your head in big capital letters: collaboration. We begin commercial strategies with no cost solutions. And if we have budget, we'll investigate others. And then we build these strategies according to the know-how that exists within the event and the festival team or organizer, and resources. And all the time when we're talking about resources, we're thinking human, time, and financial. So this is where our strategies begin. This is what we have to think about. So understanding our know-how and our resources, time, human and financial, is a very important thing, because the reality is when we construct commercial strategies, there are no shortage of options. There are a million doors we can open. So it is about knowing how to open the best doors based on our resources and know-how that can get us, achieving a strong result in year one. And then as our resources and know-how build, every year we build onwards so that our strategies grow and our visitors grow and our revenue generation grows. And this is why the strategic plan is unique to every event and festival, because it is based on the unique know-how and resources of each festival. So I'm going to give you some solutions that you can think about, strategies that you can pick that would provide a good fit for your event and festival based on diverse stages of learning, know-how and resources. So like I said there earlier, All selling begins at home. We start on our own doorstep, on our local community. So let's just say I'm based, in any Northern Ireland destination. It could be a village, it could be a rural area, it could be a city, a coastal area, a town, wherever I am. I'm going to need to define what my local community is. And maybe that is the village, or maybe I'm going to, make it a little wider and think about my local community as people who live within a defined area. So say 50 or 100 miles. And then I'm going to look at all the solutions that would allow me to maximize sales within my local community. That is step one. When I've sorted that, I'll go on to think about my next step, Northern Ireland counties. And I'll begin to think about the counties that are neighbouring where I live, the ones that are most accessible, easy to reach. And when I've thought about solutions for those counties, I'll think beyond into counties that are a little further away. And how could I reach audiences in those places? I'll think beyond that again into the Republic of Ireland counties, again focusing first on the counties that are closest to where I live, and then thinking beyond that, how could I get that person down in the southwest in Cork or Kerry to be aware of what my event and festival is about and to book a ticket to attend? And beyond that again, I could look at the global markets. So let's just say I've really evolved from local to Northern Ireland counties, Republic of Ireland counties. Now I'm going to look further. Well, where would I start in the global markets? Maybe in Great Britain, huge market, of course, neighbouring market, great opportunities there. European markets, maybe where will I start? France, Germany, Italy, Spain. I need to start making decisions around that. Evolving further into the US and Canada, long haul markets, and emerging markets, like maybe the Asian markets. So you can see already, and some of you in your heads will be thinking, oh gosh, I'm just within the local community now, and maybe, some neighbouring Northern Ireland counties, or some people will be reaching into other markets. That is totally fine. Every plan is unique. And what we want to happen is that your event and festival grows in a stepwise manner annually, so that each year you're adding to those visitor numbers and growing according to your know-how and your resources. So bear in mind, all selling starts in your local community. So having looked at this topic now, and I did advise you earlier to have the paper and pen ready, I would like you to really think about clearly identifying, look at number one there, what your know-how is in terms of commercial strategies. What do you feel you're really good at, and what do you need to learn to build for the future? And number two, I would like you to identify resources. What resources do you have already? And I'm well aware that some events or festivals may only have, one organizer and maybe one or two volunteers. So what could I do with those resources? And if I could secure more resources, could I achieve more? And how would I manage those resources to get the best outcome from them? And how could I add to my resource time reaching into the community and volunteers? How could I add to my human resources, maybe again by adding volunteers? How can I get the best return for my very small budget? Or how can I add to my budget to get even more opportunities to build strategies? How can I map out my audiences to increase my potential reach? Thinking like we said there, local, Northern Ireland counties, Republic of Ireland counties, and global, starting where, building where. And how do I map out the strategies for reaching these audiences based on my know-how and my available resources? And how might I think about that in the immediate future, within 1 year, the near future, 2 to 3 years, or distant future, 3 to 5 years and beyond? So you see, commercial strategies should not feel like an endless landscape. We should be breaking down our strategies into bite-sized, doable pieces so that we are moving forward, increasing visitor numbers and revenue generation as we move year after year. So hopefully now you've noted a couple of tasks there with those insights, and I'm going to move on now, and there'll be further tasks to think about with this very key topic of collaboration. So I told you earlier, put the word collaboration in bright lights, in capital letters in your head, because there's a very serious role within the tourism industry and within the growth and the development of events and festivals. The reality is that nothing happens without collaboration. Without collaboration, you cannot gain traction. It is the step one of all commercial strategies. It is the hallmark of successful events and festivals and of destinations. So collaboration is key. So let's just think beyond the word to what this means. How can you build your event and festival within your destination through collaboration? Well, I want you to think about people in your community, in your destination, who you can support, because collaboration is a two-way thing, and who in turn can support you. And by supporting you, their collaborative effort will help to raise revenue for your event and festival, for your destination, and for Destination Northern Ireland. So when we're thinking about collaboration, we think very much team. By working together within our communities and our destinations, we create revenue generation for your event and festival. We create revenue generations for other businesses, tourism businesses and other businesses, as we said earlier, the shopkeeper and the restaurants and the accommodation providers in your area. We create economic benefits and employment that benefit the individual and the collective. And we create a lovely social impact. And this is one of the joys I find of working in the tourism industry, because if we do this well, if we get collaboration really in order, you notice that people in communities and destinations, they literally walk taller. They have an immense sense of pride and identity. They feel part of something and part of a community. And that's when destinations become really compelling. So I want you to think about your event and your festival within the context of destination. And I want you to imagine now, as we're talking here, that the postman is knocking on the door and you open it and there's a gorgeous box with a beautiful bow on it. And when you put that box on your table and you open it, this is what's inside. So nobody wants to receive an empty chocolate box. That would be an incredibly disappointing gift. And I want you to think about your destination in this way, because you will be aware that within your destination, no matter where you are located in Northern Ireland, there are really compelling things to do and see, and your event and festival is part of this. But now think of someone anywhere on the island of Ireland, Northern Ireland or the Republic of Ireland, anywhere in a global market, and they're thinking about where you are, and they don't know this. What they're actually seeing in their head is the equivalent of an empty chocolate box. There is nothing there to compel them to book. And now we're going to think about collaboration within this framework. Because if we do the opposite, if we pull together individually and collectively within destinations, creating, using the analogy of a complete chocolate box, what we do is we present lots of compelling offers for customers to choose from. And let's just say I show up to your destination and there are offerings within this chocolate box I'm interested in. And there are offerings within this box I'm not interested in at all. And that's totally fine, because the next customer comes along with a different set of interests, needs and budgets. And this is how we get a layering of customers purchasing within the destination and creating economic benefits for businesses like events and festivals, for people like you, and for the destination and the wider community as a whole. So bear in mind that the hallmark of successful destinations are individuals pulling together in a collaboration, coming together in one place, making this destination sing so that customers are compelled to come and explore. So selling for one and for all is a winning strategy that benefits the individual and the collective and the destination. And if you think of any tourism destination that is successful in the world, they have got collaboration down. They have this part sorted. So collaboration, step one to having a really successful commercial strategy. And I want you to think about how you can play a collaborative role within your communities and destinations that will benefit your event and festival, that will benefit colleagues within your community and the destination as a whole. So let's take a look at this now. And within the collaborative framework, how do we then behave? Well, we don't expect someone else to do everything for us. No, we do not. We stand up, we take responsibility, we take individual responsibility. We are people who know how to make things happen. Of course we do. Event organizers and festival organizers, this is in your DNA, okay? We take collective responsibility. So let's think about that chocolate box again. The event and festival, maybe working with other tourism businesses from other sectors in the tourism industry, and collectively everyone within the destination, everyone within that chocolate box is going to take responsibility, making things happen. We are aware of resources and we know how to be informed about that and how to lean on them and benefit from those resources. This is an important part in our approach. And if we get that equation right, knowing how to take responsibility individually and collectively, being aware of resources and knowing how to benefit from those, we will begin to see stepwise growth for the event and festival, for the community as a whole, for businesses within that community and the destination as a whole. And of course, this is what we want to achieve for your event and festivals and for Destination Northern Ireland. So what are the devices then? Looking beyond the word of collaboration, what does it really mean? What are the devices that support collaboration? Well, the first one is referrals. The second one is packages. The third is suggested itineraries. And the fourth is natural fit partnerships. So 4 key devices to driving collaboration. And let's look how they might function. So let's just say now I'm in my community in Northern Ireland, wherever I am. The first thing I would do with my event and festival is I would draw up members within my community who can refer what I do offline and online to their communities. So where would I begin looking for those referrals? For me personally, I might start looking at accommodation providers because I'm aware that lots of people, whether it's a B&B or self-catering, glamping, 3 to 5 star hotel, whatever the accommodation provider is, guests who stay in accommodation providers look for recommendations of things to do. And so the accommodation provider is a rich source of referrals to their guests and visitors. So I would definitely be looking to establish partnerships with accommodation providers. I might look at establishing partnerships with other kinds of tourism businesses and businesses within my community. I would certainly, keep strong relationship with Tourism Northern Ireland team members because they're in a position to refer opportunities, from customers in the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, and from global markets. They're being asked about recommendations all the time. So I'm not going to be pushy here. I'm going to gently keep in contact so that my contacts within accommodation providers and Tourism Northern Ireland are going to be kept updated. And where else will I go? Well, these are just some ideas within your toolkit, within your knowledge of your own communities. You'll have lots of other recommendations for categories that you can create for referrals. But you might think about associations and organizations that are affiliated with your event and festival. For example, maybe you're a food festival and it makes sense to reach out to culinary organizations. You could think of relevant educational institutions. You could think of libraries. How could the libraries, support me getting out to communities, what I'm offering to communities? Maybe I am somebody who has a sister or brother who works in a big corporate organization, a bank or a pharmaceutical company. How could I leverage our relationship so that they can raise awareness of my event and festival, within this corporation that may have multiple employees? I would certainly be reaching out to my local council, to the bid office and Chamber of Commerce, again, seeing if we can lean on each other, create partnerships that would raise awareness and encourage ticket sales for the event or festival that I organise. So it's very important when I start to, first of all, I'll start to build my list of referrals, and then I'll need to record my referrals. Who am I going to speak to? Who is the contact in the organization? And before I ever reach out to them, I'm going to be prepared. I'm not going to damage this opportunity. I'm going to think about how am I going to present myself? What am I going to ask? How can I, how am I going to express my needs? And how can I show them that I can maybe reciprocate in offering them a referral too? I'm not going to feel like I have a divine right to the referral. I'm going to use all those magic ingredients, integrity, soul, passion, drive, and I am going to, make sure that I nurture these relationships and partnerships so that I get the best outcome. And the day that my referral contact sends me the first piece of business, I'm going to pick up the phone or see them, arrange a meeting and say, thank you. So I'm going to value and nurture this relationship so I can maximize the referral opportunity. So let's just say I've worked out now who I want to contact via my referrals. I need to start thinking about my communications. So let's just say I am an event or festival and I'm going to reach out to an accommodation provider. So I'm actually going to think about the language I would use over, a cup of coffee or a virtual meeting with my accommodation provider. So I might say something like, hello, my name is, and I represent whatever my festival or event is. through what we do, our visitors get too. And I'd like you to keep in mind now the Noir Ireland Festival that we discussed at the beginning, and how it has a lovely stamp, a lovely vibe, and how David makes us feel compelled to engage with his festival, knowing that you have a power in that regard to share with the accommodation provider during this conversation. We are really passionate about raising the profile of our event and festival because the conversation goes on. Most importantly, we want to raise the profile of our destination, and to that end, we would love to figure out ways that we can work together to achieve that. And now you need to know what to ask. For example, do you think you could refer our festival on your website year-round, maybe under your things to do to raise awareness? Could we find a way to inform your team, including reservations and the reception team, so they can let your guests know what we do? Could we discuss ways you can promote our festival on social media? Could we provide you with something that maybe you could issue to guests who are booking over our festival dates? Could we offer you a prize so that maybe you could offer this prize through your social media audience to raise awareness of what we do? Could we create a package? And from our end then, this is what I could do to help you if that is an opportunity. Do you see this? So there's nothing more compelling than meeting someone who is passionate without going overboard, maintaining all of that integrity, who really wants to establish a partnership. And what you want is to instill in the accommodation provider or the listener of that referral is that they really feel they want to engage and be part of what you're offering. So referrals, a huge part of the collaboration strategy. And I love the referral because it's really fluid. You could pick out 10 or 50 or 100, 1,000 referral partners, and each one would lead to new opportunities. A package is also a wonderful device. It's a little less fluid than a referral because, for example, if I ask an accommodation provider to package, so a package is when 2 or more parties come together to create an offer. So if I ask an accommodation provider to create a package, well, just think about how they display their rates on their website. They may have a lot of rooms to sell, and they may have other packages of their own, including, I don't know, dining and maybe other packages with other partners. So I will ask for the package opportunities, and I will sound out if there's an opportunity for me to become a part of a package, but I will understand that sometimes this is a little more complex for the accommodation provider, depending on the amount of things they have to sell. Other packages can be established, of course, between the event and festival and a venue, or there are all kinds of different formulas for creating successful packages. Just like referrals, we remember the same thing. We're going to say thank you for opportunities that come our way. We're going to nurture the package relationship, and we're going to build for the future. Sample itinerary is another wonderful device. So what does the sample itinerary do? It does the work for the customer. It spells out what can be done within a destination. It literally fills in the pieces of the chocolate box that I showed you there earlier, because somebody who lives outside your community may not know everything that can be done in an afternoon or a day or multiple days. So a suggested itinerary really helps awaken the imagination of the customer and realize that there are compelling reasons for them to book this destination, and therefore itineraries that include your event and festivals can be super compelling. So to be thinking about, what you would include in an itinerary, who would create it, how would your event play in to other things within the destination, things to see and do, and also revealing local secrets that you as local people would know, like, for example, a hidden beach that can be discovered, a gorgeous woodland, or a delicious dish in an interesting place. And of course, events in their own right tend to reveal hidden and secret places. You may be thinking that you've got a concert in a secret garden or that kind of thing. So to be bringing customers from outside your community into that story, so that through your event and festival, they're exploring your community and your destination. Natural fit partnerships, another wonderful collaborative device. And depending on your event or festival, these partnerships will take lots of different guises. For example, a food festival could pair with a craft brewery or local distillery, a horticultural festival with a garden centre, a dance festival with a wellness business. There are lots of other partnerships that we could create, for example, with organisations like TransLink or other corporate organisations or libraries. So think about partnerships that are a natural fit for your festival, and how by working together you could create opportunities that would lead to increased visitor numbers for your event and festival offering, all the time recording the contacts and preparing to maximize the outcome from that relationship. So again, guys, here's the paper and pen moment, because I would like you to think. So we're not going to think about just talking today. We're going to think about doing. We're going to do things that achieve things for our events and festival and for our communities and destination Northern Ireland. So I want you to write down now or in the coming days, minimum 10 referral opportunities in your destination or community. 10. I think that's very low. I'm hoping some of you will arrive at 30, 20. Okay, plan your approach, then reach out to create those opportunities. Define maybe 2 package opportunities in your destination or community. Like we've discussed there a moment ago, plan your approach, reach out to create the opportunities. Define minimum 2 itinerary opportunities in your destination and community, exactly the same thing. Plan your approach, reach out and create the opportunities. I'm going to ask you to think about the same thing, coming up with 2 natural fit partnership opportunities in your destination and community. So you're going to think about who would be on that list, how are you going to approach them, how are you going to plan your communications, how are you going to balance your discussion with that person to create opportunities for yourself, your event, your festival, your community and your destination. Okay, so in the next couple of minutes, I want to look at a couple of topics that are really important to me. Like I said there earlier, when we look at commercial strategies, very often businesses look at the most convoluted and expensive solutions, but you've just seen there now what can be achieved through collaboration, which requires little more than your own time. And now we're going to focus really on drilling down into low and no cost solutions. So these are the initial steps of our commercial strategies. So like we said there earlier, all selling begins on your own doorstep. It is really important to know how to collaborate. And if you really want your event and festival and your destination to gain traction, this is a key hallmark ingredient to achieve that. The other part of, as we said earlier, of commercial strategies that's really important is knowing how to prioritize low and no cost solutions. So I'm going to take, there are lots of low and no cost solutions, but I'm going to give you an example by looking at these 4. So Tourism Northern Ireland and the discovernorthernIreland.com website, Tourism Ireland, the concept of lead generation and conversion, and digital solutions. So let's take a look now at discovernorthernIreland.com, which of course is the official website for Tourism Northern Ireland. So I'm hoping you're aware, and if you're not aware, put this down as a to-do, that you have the opportunity to upload your event and festival so that it is featured for customers who are searching through this site. When you are uploaded on discovernorthernIreland.com, you can also reach out. There's potential to reach out into further opportunities, including online editorial inclusion. They're all listed here, email marketing, but I've literally just pulled this from content that Tourism Northern Ireland has already created for you, literally landing this opportunity in your lap. Your job is to activate it. Competitions, digital partnerships, influencer marketing. And you will find when you get the slides or when you take a time to look at these this content afterwards, the link to this information has just popped up on the screen there. So what do I get by engaging with Discover Northern Ireland in this way? Well, more than 3 million visitors visit that site annually. And once I create a listing on discovernorthernIreland.com, I also get access to the global markets through Ireland.com, which is the website that is managed by Tourism Ireland. And annually, more than 23 million global visitors look at that site. So look at, just by being present here, what you can achieve. By working closely with Tourism Northern Ireland, I could, maybe gain exposure through the Facebook platform, where we've got more than almost 200,000 followers, and Instagram almost 70,000 followers, Twitter beyond 70,000, and of course Tourism Northern Ireland has a really well thought through database with more than 100,000 users. So do you see what I mean about taking individual responsibility and knowing how to lean on resources and opportunities? All of this content I've just pulled from the Tourism Northern Ireland website. There's an email address here and a telephone number where you can reach out and establish a listing if you've not already done so. And some of you listening today will go, Julie, I've already done this. Well, if you have, I would urge you to check your listing and make sure that that's updated annually, so it's constantly fresh. So what I'm asking you to do is reach out, lean on this support, make opportunities happen for you, and all the links for these screen grabs that I'm showing you are on the presentation today. So you can see, and as I was going through the content, there's, Tourism Northern Ireland are reaching out for content that they can share in light of COVID-19. And what is the aim here? To keep Northern Ireland present in the minds of Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, and global customers. So be aware of these opportunities, regularly check in, be proactive, make it happen. The instructions are all here. If it were me, I'd be checking in at least once a month and reaching out to really, create opportunities via this, via what's being presented on the site here. So when a door is put in front of you, open it. Make sure and activate the opportunity that lies behind it. Another low and no cost solution is Tourism Ireland industry opportunities. So look what I've done here. So of course, this site explores opportunities in the global markets. So I picked my destination. In this case, I've picked Great Britain. I can pick the activity that interests my event and festival. And I pick the festival category, which is a category on this site. And I literally click find opportunities. And what happens? Well, when I did this, preparing for today, you can see that there's a spring campaign. And when you go into that link, you will notice that there's a link called download PDF. My pink arrow is moving towards it there. And when I go into the PDF, you will see it gives me the full details of how to participate, telling me who to contact. So in this case, it's Geraldine Egan of Tourism Ireland. And you will notice that they are specifically asking for content from lots of different kind of tourism businesses, and festivals are specifically noted. So this is a no cost opportunity that you can reach out to raise awareness of what your festival and event has to offer, so that customers thinking about travel in the future can make sure that you are on their list. So I would definitely be availing of that. So the other things that we would consider in terms of building out our commercial strategies are lead generation. So finding contacts, reaching out, bringing leads to conversion. So this requires time, but it doesn't really require a big financial input. So this skill set of researching and identifying strong leads, planning communications so that we can get a conversion from those leads, preparing so that when we reach out to the lead, that we have our house in order, that we are compelling, interesting to listen to, really compelling the listener to engage. And our job is to bring the lead to conversion. In other words, to try and achieve a confirmed booking. Now, leads can come from a variety of sources. Again, I will think about it in terms of boxes, maybe local businesses. Maybe I could look at top 100 Northern Ireland businesses. I was Googling these kind of leads recently, and lists for this pop up. Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, and global associations and societies, or maybe academic institutions. And think about leads that are easily reached through your own contacts, through your own communities, or through contacts that you already have within your community or wider community. So remember, all commercial strategies start at home on your own doorstep. So check those ones off first. When you reach out to a lead and they generate a booking, please show your appreciation. Say thank you, be prompt, and reply on the day or within 24 hours. So if you've gone to the trouble of asking someone to consider you for a booking, make sure when they send you in the booking that you convert it by replying promptly. Otherwise, the customer is likely to go elsewhere. So follow through in the ask that you've created by asking for this opportunity. And of course, so we've looked at the discovernorthernireland.com website. We've looked at Tourism Ireland industry opportunities. We've looked at lead generation, and we could not look at low and no cost solutions without considering digital channels too. Because of course, we can achieve a lot of traction reaching out to lots of customers through digital channels, including social media platforms. So this is just a very simple diagram to show you the diverse categories of digital channels. So we've got our owned channels, the ones we own ourselves, where we reach our customers, maybe through a website or through a blog or through our social media pages on Facebook and Instagram. And I would say, again, mindful of your resources, to be consistent about your communications there, maybe creating 3 to 5 compelling posts per week, maybe 8 to 10 stories, allowing 10 or 20 minutes a day so that you're responding to feedback from your community. Earned are like your fans, so people who take your posts and share them, user-generated content. They could come through collaborations, for example, the accommodation provider that's supporting you, sharing your posts into their community. So owned and earned, both low cost opportunities, and of course paid, as we all know, through Google or social media campaigns, will require investment. So depending on the resources we have, we may stay within owned and earned, or we may progress into paid. Very briefly, if you are going to progress into paid, you will always make sure that your input is well targeted. So this is an example of a Facebook campaign, for example, where we've targeted families within a certain demographic. And here we've got another targeted campaign, slightly younger demographic, where we're looking at people who are interested in, say, a holiday. And here maybe my festival or event is relating to animals. I'm specifically looking for dog owners. So the more targeted our campaigns, whether they are offline or online, the more likely we are to receive an outcome, which is revenue generation. So let's just say now you're low on resources and you're kind of thinking, jeepers, there's a lot of stuff here that I could do, but like I'm just working by myself. How could I add to my resources to achieve more? Well, I would again ask you to think about your communities, maybe volunteers that can support you, maybe contra deals, I'll tell you about that in a moment, or other low-cost solutions. For example, are there retired experts in your destination? Are there volunteers in your destination that could provide a specific skill set? Could you partner with a local school or college that could, for example, help you with digital campaigns? Could you provide tickets to a local radio station or another radio station in return, providing them with a spot prize in return, for a mention, for promotion? Could you partner with a local accommodation provider, providing a gorgeous prize to the radio station that will really get the attention of an audience and raise the profile of your event and festival? So in return for the prize, a contra deal is that the radio station may not charge you in return. So explore those opportunities. Are there corporate companies that you could work with who offer pro bono support? Are you a non-for-profit organization? Well, if you are, I would urge you to research Google, who offer a lot of free supports, including high budgets for free advertising, and Salesforce, a database system, again, offering free database solutions for non-for-profit organizations. Do you not have a budget for training? Again, tons of free opportunities out there. Here is a free training link for Google Analytics, for example, if you want to measure activity on your website, and a free training link for learning more about Facebook and Instagram. And here they come here now. This is the Google Analytics Academy, free resources here, and the Facebook Blueprint Academy, giving you insights into, marketing tricks on Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp and other platforms in that regard. So the task I would like you to consider now is creating for the first time or updating your existing northernireland.com listing. I would like you to review and update that annually to make sure that's in order. Explore Tourism Ireland industry opportunities. Maybe check in there once a month to see if there's something you can engage with to bring your event and festival to a global audience. Think about lead generation. How many leads could I activate to try and proactively achieve ticket sales or event sales for my event and festival? And digital, where could I navigate? Owned, earned, also paid? What could I do there? So we're coming up now to the last few minutes of the presentation before we move into our question and answer session. And before we do this, I want to really bring to your attention the importance of measurement, because this is a key issue that I see with lots of events and festivals when I'm working with them. And it is really important to measure inputs and outcomes. I'll explain a little bit more about what I mean there now. When I create an input, it has to be measured for its associated outcome, and I'll explain more about this in a moment. This is crucial for measuring return on investments. If I spend £1 or £100 or £1,000, I need to know what I'm going to get in return for that. It's crucial for understanding where your revenue is coming from so that you're not working in the blind. And it is also crucial for achieving sponsorship and funding opportunities. So what do you need to measure as an event or festival? You need to measure your commercial activity. Every sales and marketing input needs to be measured for an associated outcome. You need to be able to measure your revenue composition. Where does your revenue come from? What sales channels, what markets? And you need to be able to measure your repeat customer data. So I'll show you how this could be done here now. So there are organizations that have, very fancy computerized systems that will do this for them. And I work with lots of events and festivals that just keep all of this in order in a really tidy Excel sheet, and they do brilliantly with this. So actually, even computerized, the computerized systems, they're just computerized Excel sheets anyway. So I would like you to bear in mind the kind of content that you need, the kind of data that you need to search for and measure. So there are examples here, and I'll ask you to explore these in more detail later. But if I take the first one, for example, I'm noting here that in January, I reached out to direct customers, and I created, if you look under notes, a fun and quirky message that encouraged them to purchase advance tickets with a 10% discount. I set myself a target that through this opportunity, I wanted to sell 60 tickets, and I did it using my database and my e-zine. If I see the outcome here under the return on investment, I've noted 8% of recipients booked by the end of February 2021. What's my outcome? I am delighted with this. I will do it again the end of March. I will be repeating this for next year. And you will notice on the second one, I've mentioned a referral. This is a test promotion you'll see under notes with the Rose Hotel, a fictional hotel. I'm aiming for 20 ticket sales. And if you drill down to line 5 there, you'll see I've engaged in paid social media campaigns, and my ROI, my return on investment, has come up as 95 tickets booked. And I make a note that was successful, but I feel we could achieve a better return on investment with tighter targeting. So while I'll repeat the activity, I'll use these learnings to get a better result. Every input is measured for its outcome in commercial activity. The other thing that needs to be measured is where our revenue comes from. So our revenue comes from sales channels. These can be direct, for example, through your website, or maybe someone books over the phone, or maybe you get it through, a referral from a local partner. Or indirect, maybe you've gotten the booking through someone like a tour operator or an online travel agent. So they've sent their customer to you. Our customers can also come from markets, so Ireland-based markets, like we said earlier, the local markets, Northern Ireland counties, Republic of Ireland counties, or maybe beyond, global markets, Great Britain, really important market, into Europe and other markets. So how do I measure this? And again, we're going to look at a simple Excel sheet to show the concept. You will see, and I'll bring it up closer so you can see it in a moment, I'm recording my sales channel, where the booking came from, whether that was a referral, a website, an online travel agent. At the end, you will notice I'm recording the county and the country. So I have one entry here for Northern Ireland, one for Great Britain, one from the Republic of Ireland. And for each booking, I'm noticed whether there's a repeat customer potential or not, because my repeat customers are a rich source of revenue. They're going to come back to me again and again. So drawing this in closer, very simply, notice how we've recorded the sales channel. And drawing it closer again, note how we've recorded the country and the county and the repeat customer potential. Now I'm starting to understand which sales channels and which markets my customers are coming from. I'm no longer working in the blind. Regarding repeat customers, I need to think about what data I need to collect there, and I'm only going to collect it for customers who can be repeat. So only necessary data, only GDPR compliant data, and all the time bearing in mind that a customer must consciously opt in to be part of my database. So I think of my repeat customers a bit like my family or my club. They're my fans. I'm going to look after them. I'm going to reach out to them to encourage them to book and rebook and maybe book new experiences that my event and festival is going to create into the future. And I'm going to think about the data. I've given you some options there that I need to collect to do that. So some of you out there will be saying, but cheapers, I'm a free event, so how do I measure? Well, you're going to have to come up with a solution for this. And in my past, we've done things like created, a badge or a wristband that a visitor may wear, and they have to, record their data to get the visitor or badge or the wristband. And maybe by wearing this wristband or badge, they get discounts in the local community and local stores. So there's a compelling reason for them to engage, and I will be able to take their data in this regard. I'll be able to collect it through that initiative. If I've created partnership opportunities, for example, with accommodation providers or any other organization, I may meet with those partners after my event and festival to check out, their booking data and my booking data, so I can record the statistics. Maybe I'll conduct a professional survey. Maybe I have the budget to do that, or maybe I do not. So I will use volunteers to conduct surveys, carefully working out questions based on a target audience, maybe 50 or 100 participants, that can measure what kind of sales channels or markets my customers have come through. But data is hugely important and very important if we're going to ask for something in return, particularly something like sponsorship or funding. So the task at the end here, and we're really coming up to the last couple of slides now, is I want you to clarify how you will measure. I want you to have a system for measurement. I want you to create necessary tools and supports. I want you to implement the strategy and assign resources for same. And I want you to retain that measurement tool, keeping it updated annually so that you can use it for comparison purposes well into the future. And finally, let's just think about people out there and all the different stages that you're at, early, mid, or advanced stages of commercial strategies. Like I said there earlier, every commercial strategy is unique to the event and festival. We maximize opportunities in for the immediate future. Maybe we define that as a period of 12 months based on our resources and our know-how. We build that for the near future, 2 to 3 years, and we create a vision for the distant future, 3 to 5 years. And vision, where would I like to be in 5 years' time? And we all the time build our commercial strategies to achieve the target that we have in mind within that vision. So there are no shortages of commercial solutions, like I said there at the beginning. It is very much about planning your route and building while being mindful of your know-how and resources. And this is my final slide, guys. So if you take a look here, you will see that these are all the commercial doors you can open. You begin with a really clear product offering, a really clear destination story. There are 3 ways you can grow your revenue: sales channels, direct and indirect. We touched on those today. Markets, Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, global, and different customer segments, whether that's adventure, food, or families and couples. We've lots of tools for revenue generation, sales, proactive and reactive, like we said, lead generation there earlier, marketing offline and online. Online we looked at with the targeted Facebook campaigns, revenue and demand management, advanced tickets, encouraging advanced tickets, maybe offering events late into the evening so that the day is stretched through your event and festival, PR and brand awareness, and CRM and database management, which are the measurement tools that we just touched on there. So on that note, guys, wherever you are, in your homes or in your offices, I want to tell you it's been my total pleasure to be here today. I know Leslie is going to join me now for the question and answer session. I'll be delighted to see your face, Leslie. And as we're waiting for Leslie to come back, I'll just remind you that the next session is on Monday, on the 29th of March, between 2 and 3. Topic I adore, reimagining storytelling, and I'll be there, and there are lots of other literally amazing speakers who I'll be tuning into in this series. But now it's over to Leslie, guys.
Thanks, Julie. That was great. I think we'll dive straight into some questions, if that's okay with you.
No problem.
I suppose just as an observation and as somebody who works in the industry, at the moment, a lot of us are concerned about commercial resilience within our events and festivals, and a lot of commercial resilience comes from those partnerships, collaborations, relationships that that you've talked about. I particularly liked the chocolate box scenario, although anybody that knows me knows that I would prefer that box to be filled with cheese rather than chocolate. But I think, or a big massive box of potato crisps or something. But yeah, I think we in Northern Ireland and probably Ireland wide think that we're very good at collaborating and that we're very good at partnerships. But I think that maybe one of the things we're going to have to do is think outside the box, the chocolate box, when it comes to who we partnership with. So it's not, you have to go back to what you did before and think about doing something new and something different. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, no, I think what you said there is brilliant. So I suppose I know what you say about commercial resilience. It's tough at the moment, it requires a lot of energy, and you are so right in what you're saying. So whether you want that box to be a cheese box or a potato box or crisp box or whatever it is, a chocolate box, just think of the box in terms of your destination. There's immense support within that, within destinations, and I suppose that's a source of resilience too. I really make that point, Leslie, because as you know, I did a similar job to you once upon a time in events, And then I moved into tourism businesses like accommodation providers. So it was interesting to me that when somebody from an industry I knew, events or festivals, showed up, sometimes the tactic was almost expecting me to engage without approaching it like we should be in a partnership here, which is, no matter even if you're the most amazing person in the world, is immediately off-putting. You're not going to compel me to want to partner with you. And then the kind of person, that's why integrity is a huge word for me, that kind of comes across with an honesty, a softness, a passion, a drive and a soul, and you literally would do anything to help them. And that's really important. Like I said there earlier, that you don't expect it's a divine right to this referral or partnership opportunity. It is really two people or two businesses, or maybe multiple businesses within a local community coming together to achieve something important. And it's something you really feel. I would also say in my past, there are people who approached me who just were not the right match at all. We were not a good fit partnership. So to my mind, these kind of events and festivals should have been thinking through their list about better fits. So sometimes I loved the person, but I was kind of going, it's just not a fit for what we do. But I would, yeah, that chocolate box for me, and it's an analogy I use a lot in training, has never been more important than in the current times. Yeah, absolutely.
I think as we start to come out of lockdown, and as we start to be able to do more things in person, then it's important to think of ways of taking your event or festival and showcasing it, or giving people a taster of it, maybe outside of your own community. And that might mean engaging with partners that you haven't thought of before, like councils in different areas, or the bids, the business improvement districts that are really going to be focused on driving footfall back into towns and cities. So if you can help them do that by providing a flavour of whatever your product happens to be, that might be another way to think about the transition from what we're doing now to hybrid or one day fully live events.
Yeah, and I suppose I'm always mindful, as someone who's always been responsible for targets. Let's just say my event is happening in September. Well, the customers don't arrive the day I open the doors. A long lead-in time is required. Some businesses would build up a year, multiple years in advance to achieve those customer bases, selling advance tickets, really reaching out within their community. So you are so right in what you said there. So I think it's described extremely well on the Tourism Northern Ireland website. What are they looking for? Content that keeps Northern Ireland in the consciousness of customers, whether they're in Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, or the global markets, so that the day people can travel, that you are on their list to book. So that's why the empty chocolate box, keep that in mind. I'm aware of amazing destinations, and there are loads of these all over Northern Ireland that have amazing things to do, but maybe people outside the community, and sometimes people even in the community, are not aware of them. So the pieces need to come together, and you're so right, leaning on the bids, leaning on the councils. There's nothing more compelling than being part of a team, and it creates opportunities for the individual and collective. And I think we all need that soul booster at the moment.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's about also being ready. I feel like for so long we've been in this state of, it's like ready, steady, go, and we're slightly closer to being ready to go. But things like making sure that your imagery, when you're trying to sell to somebody, that your imagery, that your wording, that how you present yourself within that sale is up to date, so that whenever you do go back out to market with, we're open again, or where our ticket sales are live, or whatever, that people are not looking at what they would have looked at for the event that never happened, or the booking that they couldn't fulfill, and that you bear in mind that the landscape has changed, but actually audiences have changed as well. And while you might, and you hopefully will retain your original audience, that you've probably gained, if you work hard enough, you'll gain a whole new audience that are just dying to get out there and experience new things again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we can all think of people or businesses that have really kept the lights switched on, through really nice social media, that literally when you read them, they lift your soul, and you want to leave an imprint on the customer's memory that will make them want to book afterwards. So there's lots of things that can be done there. Now, Leslie, you've touched on a really important point to me, because there are lots of businesses clearly at the moment that are not physically open to the public, and therefore when we do open, there can be no excuses about having our strategy and our communications in order. If they weren't in order before, now is the time to do this, so that you are so right. It does not send out the right message when the customer is looking on the website if the content is a year old or 3 months old and is not being brought up to date for the moment. Yeah, we need to get that part in order.
Yeah, and another topic that's come up in questioning has been that sort of digital side of things. And I think people are concerned that sales and marketing strategies should be 100% online, that they should be 100% digital. I mean, in my mind, there's still room for the traditional methods, and we will talk within the webinars, within the series on PR and on telling stories. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that there's still room for the old-fashioned
Yeah,
sales
and
method?
I love that question, and it's a real interesting topic for me, because I would have started off my career when digital channels didn't even exist, which I always find unusual. But so I suppose, so this is a really important topic. So just even reaching out to your partnerships through referrals, to a journalist, for example, through PR, having those human skills, knowing how to have the tenacity to bring a lead to conversion. These, I don't count them as old-fashioned skills. I count them as totally relevant skills. And the skill sets are being lost at the moment, sometimes with businesses thinking that only digital strategies apply. There's also another thing I'll bring in there. So when I'm looking at the composition of, now bear in mind, I'm not saying digital is crucially important channel, okay? But when I'm looking at the composition of revenue generation in a business, what I'm looking at is revenue that comes from diverse sales channels, offline and online, diverse markets, Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, global markets, maybe diverse customer segments, because what that does to the revenue is it creates stability. When our revenue is coming from different sources, it creates stability. So I would always advise not putting all your eggs in one basket. And I had a really interesting experience, now you've just brought it to mind, with an event and festival that I worked with recently, who has actually a really strong digital strategy. And they said to me, I have exhausted what I can do in terms of my own marketing capacity through digital channels. I need to look at other channels if I'm going to expand. And I thought that was really telling. So every channel, whether it's the website or social media or referrals via local partners or lead generation or PR and brand awareness, brings its own set of potential opportunities. So for me, I'm a commercial person. I've always been responsible for targets. I always want to know how to open each one of those doors to maximize the revenue generation, in this case for the event and festival that I manage. That's really important to me. So not old-fashioned strategies, integrated with digital strategies is really important.
Okay. I could talk to you all day, but we don't have
Same
the
here.
time to do that.
I know.
There will be the opportunity for some people to talk to you directly, and I'll go into more detail about that in a minute. But before we finish up, I think we're going to do a couple of quick live polls. So those of you who are still with us live, if you wouldn't mind taking part in these polls, we just have 2 questions. Hopefully the first one will appear imminently. Okay, first question. How have you found today's session so far in terms of content and relevance to your business? So it's a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being not relevant at all and 5 being extremely relevant. So if you could just click on one of those for me, that'd be great. Okay, and then we have a second and final question, which is, Do you plan to take any action in your business as a direct result of what you've heard today? And that's just a simple yes or no answer. If you click on that, that would be great. Great, thank you. Okay, well, that's just, I hope everyone's found this session useful. All the webinars in the Reimagining Events series will be available online afterwards. And those attending today will receive an email to let you know where you can access those. And that email will also give you details about checklists that Tourism NI are producing along with each presenter, which will act as a quick reference guide to the subject matter, and it'll be something that you could share with people, colleagues that you think might be interested. I mentioned a minute ago about being able to talk to Julie directly. So there are a limited number of one-to-one sessions available with each of the webinar presenters. And again, details of how you can get involved in that will be in the follow-up email that you get. Lastly, but those of us who work in events know almost most importantly, there will be an evaluation form section within that follow-up email too. So we'd really appreciate it if you could take the time to fill that out. Thanks for joining us today. Hopefully you've taken away something useful, and I know we very much look forward to the day that we can do this again, but in a live event space. Take care, enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye everyone, thank you, and thank you, Leslie.